Hello there, and welcome to this video. You're going to learn a little bit about the tax lien investing process and how it can be connected with the EB5 visa, that is an investor's visa to come into the United States. And I hope the information is going to be of very much help to you. And of course, questions are welcome. Every kind of engagement and discussion is welcome. So let's jump right into it. This handsome, sexy soul right here is none other than my husband. Always bless God for bringing him into my life. God has blessed us with two amazing, amazing children, wisdom and favor. And guess who takes care of them all the time when I'm out at work? It's the amazing, wonderful, beautiful, sexy, handsome soul that I was telling you about. I am a proud and happy and blessed spiritual daughter to the amazing Pastor Clint Ross from Cape Town, South Africa. He is the founder of the Global Wisdom Center worldwide, and he is a doctor and a professional on the message of honor. That is his assignment to the world, and I am so blessed to learn at his feet, to follow in his footsteps, and to be covered by his spiritual covering. So I'll just give you a snippet of what he says concerning the topic of finances. So, guys, the other day I was looking at this website, the Central Bank of Kenya website, and do you know what I discovered about the inflation rate? It is at 7.9%. That was as of April of 2023. You know what that means is that your money every year, for example, if it says, okay, let's use a round figure, let's not use 7.9, let's take a round figure of 10% just for purposes of calculation. It means that your money every year is shrinking by 10%. Things are getting more expensive by 10% every year. So, for example, if you lived in a house and that house every month you're paying $1,000, yeah, just as a rough guesstimate, it's not like accurate, but as a rough guesstimate, if every month you're paying $1,000 for it, 1,000 Kenyan shillings for the house, it means next year the landlord is going to add 10%, and you're gonna have to pay 1,100 Kenyan shillings every month. The next year, let's say if the inflation remains at that same 10%, it becomes 1,200. That same house 2 years later, you can't live with it if you only have 1,000. You need to have 1,200 to live in that house. In short, you'll have to go and live in a smaller house. And the same thing with food. So you find that if maybe you used to buy like four tomatoes and like 50 bob, you find over time 50 bob will only buy you only two tomatoes. If you want four tomatoes, you have to pay like 100 bucks. Yeah, so the solution basically is to grow your wealth faster than the rate of inflation so that you're keeping up with the purchasing value of your money. There are many ways, but the one that we're going to talk to in particular today is real estate. And in particular, it's tax lien investing. Yeah, so about tax lien investing, I do not claim to be any expert in it at all because myself, I only came to discover it whenever I came here to the United States not long ago. But I see a lot of potential in it, and maybe we can unwrap the whole package together that is tax lien investing. So, the gist of it is that every property in this country is owned by the government. So even if you have a title to it, it doesn't really belong to you. The government has leased you that piece of property to do whatever you do in it, and in exchange, you pay your taxes to the government. So if you default, that's where the problem comes in. And the government has set up a mechanism where that piece of property is taken from you and is assigned to another investor who is going to be able to keep up with the taxes which you are delinquent in. So that whole process is the tax lien investing process. So Basically, if you're the investor, if you're interested in the property that the other person has failed to pay their taxes in, what you do, of course, you sign up and then you pay. So there are two things: you can either pay the back taxes that are owed, and then you have the house or whatever property just free and clear. Or sometimes they have an auction, and it's the minimum. It has a minimum bid, you know. So the minimum bid can be, for example, like the one which I participated in. The minimum bid was 500. So if you bid that property $500 and nobody else bids like 600 or anything above you, you get it for the $500. So that's basically it. In essence, you know the way they say in just business generally, buy low, sell high. So in this particular instance, if you bought a house whose value is like $100,000 and you bought it at $500, that's like the classic example of buy low and sell high. So even if the market goes up and down, maybe this time the market is all the value has gone down even up to 50 grand. It still doesn't affect you because you already bought it at only $500. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're going to find mansions and beautiful palaces and condos and all those kind of things in tax sales, because usually by the time a person is delinquent on their taxes, they probably have one or two financial issues. Their houses are not kept up, they're not well maintained. So, this is a strategy for those people who don't have a lot of money or are just looking for a way to put their foot in the door for the real estate in the real estate market, because the regular way of purchasing houses, you have to get a mortgage. The houses are like hundreds of thousands of amount of money. So if you want to sidestep that, you can use the tax lien process. You'll get rundown houses, no lie about that. Rundown houses, and then you have to kind of fix them up, until you bring them up to par, whatever, however you want them to look. But the beauty of it is that you don't have mortgage tying you down. You can do it at your own pace. You know, you can beautify it at your own pace, and whenever you're done, it's yours, and you can either sell it or rent it out. I mean, if you even take the example of God, the Bible says in Genesis that at that point the earth was formless, it was void, it was dark. The only thing that was happening is that the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. But it didn't face God. God didn't just give up on it. He took it and he created light and he beautified it and even made a garden and put man in it. Like he transformed it, something that was formless, worthless, empty. He took it and he changed it and he made something beautiful out of it. So this is also a challenge to us. So that is what God expects of us as his stewards. Let us take some, this is now my challenge to all of us, to go ahead and try take some of these properties that are run down, that are just going to waste, and go and beautify them and make them something that you yourself you look at and be proud of and say, yes, by the help of God, look at how I have transformed this home. So I've pretty much given an overview of the process. But one of the few things I want to touch is why specifically this route. And the reason is because this is one of the ways you can super multiply your wealth. Remember at the beginning when we said that you have to grow your wealth faster than the inflation rate. And the inflation rate, we saw it at 7.8%, which we run it off to 10%. But this thing is not on it's not giving you a percent, it's multiplying your wealth. So for instance, if you buy a piece of land at $500, but the piece of land is worth $5,000, that is already times 10 of your wealth. Which means even if you turn around and go and sell it without even doing anything on it, you already made money. you know. I guess also connected to that, the reason why I thought why specifically this group of people, one or more or maybe all of the people might be interested in coming to the United States. And I've also realized that the process sometimes is extremely difficult. And if you don't have someone who can sponsor you, if you don't have a school that have invited you, if you don't have, like, for example, those who come here for professional athletics, like, if there's not just regular channel, it's almost impossible to get a visa to come to the United States. But when I was doing my own research, I realized that there's a visa called EB5 visa, and it's an investor's visa. And that basically means that if you have money to come and invest in the United States, they give you a visa for that, you know. So we can actually build our wealth, and then whenever that wealth has matured, we can kind of show it to the immigration people and follow the due process and get the EB5 visa. The process is long. So if you would be interested in it, you'd probably have to keep at it for a minimum of about 7 to 10 years of just repeatedly doing this process of building and accumulating wealth. Um, but the good thing about it is that, okay, if your aim is to combine the wealth building process with the visa process, you can go ahead and do the whole thing all the way up to the 10-year mark. However, if that is not your interest is just to build wealth and collect rent from abroad or whatever, that's also okay. You can do the process up to wherever you feel that that process is okay for you, and just keep moving along with life. So either way, it's a win-win. And when I go back to the aspect about the visa, usually when people are applying for visa, either the diversity visa, the one for the green card, the lottery, or the one that your spouse or someone in your family um, does what sponsors you. Sometimes the wait time can be up to 10 years, 15 years. You're still waiting. You are approved, but now you are waiting for a visa to go to the embassy so that it can be granted to you. So it doesn't hurt to do this in the process. The advantage with this is that, unlike the other visas, where when you come, you have to start from scratch, you don't know where you live, all that stuff. With this one, you already have investments. You're not going to come wondering where you will live, how you will survive, how your kids will, adjust and whatever. How will you ever go back to your country to visit your people? Those things, you're not going to think about them at all because you come in as an investor. You already have investments working for you. So, friends, I'm going to sign off there at that point and invite questions. But before I do that, I just want to remind you of a few scriptures. Like, for example, one of the famous scriptures in Proverbs that says that the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. So, these are some of the strategies that, who knows, maybe the Lord might be opening up the door for you to transfer that wealth from whoever it is. And the other thing also, the other scripture that I wanted to remind you is about the parable of the talents. So there was this parable in the Bible where Jesus was saying that there was this rich guy who gave someone 5 talents and gave the other person 2 talents and gave the other person 1 talent. And if you remember at the end of that parable, of course, the guy with 5 talents came back with 5 more talents. The one with 2 talents came back with 2 more talents, and the one with 1 talent came back with nothing, with just the 1 talent. He or she didn't do anything with it, and then whatever. At the end of it, the two who multiplied their talents were told, "Well done, good and faithful servant." The one who did not multiply his talent was told, "You wicked and slothful servant." And his talent was taken from him and given to the one who had 10. So, yeah, it's something for you to think about. Would you rather be the person with the 1 talent who will be told a wicked and slothful servant? Or would you rather be the one with the 5 talents who went and multiplied it and more was added unto them? So, think about that.